gotta say that it's sad when I see other content creators that are independent who are pushing information that's not true. Because it's not that difficult to fact check. Like when you hear something that is so out there, is so crazy, it is so bombastic, you gotta wait a little bit for the waters to clear. I know a lot of content creators want to put the information out there as soon as it releases because it gets clicks. But it can certainly be damaging to your reputation and your brand if it turns out that the information you're putting out there is not accurate. Of course, for many of us content creators, it is difficult to fact check. Like, I don't speak Swedish. I can't actually go there. I can't go to the Swedish legislative house and ask politicians, like, hey, did you actually pass this or not? But what I can do is wait a couple of days, especially when an information that's going to take a long while to be implemented. Like, waiting a couple of days is no biggie. And also, this is very important, when you hear something, you gotta ask yourself, like, how are they going to implement it? Because, politicians can ask for the pie in the sky, but who's going to go up there and take it? So in this situation, you have this article, apparently it started from Twitter, that is saying that Sweden is planning to deport any migrant who earns under £2,000 per month. And they estimated that around 30% of immigrants with plans to increase it to £2,700 per month, citing that recent immigration has caused a total parallel society. So the reason that I didn't believe it when I first read it is that, first of all, how many immigrants does Sweden have? And the answer is quite a lot. Like, if we were talking about a different nation like Switzerland, yeah, it would have been possible. Like, Switzerland doesn't have that many immigrants. Ideologically, they probably wouldn't do it. But, like, if they decided to pass this law, and they would be like, okay, any immigrant that doesn't earn more than this amount of cash is going to be kicked out of Switzerland. I would be like, okay, well, it's possible that they can do it because there's not a lot of immigrants in Switzerland. The Vatican. If the Vatican wanted to pass such a legislation, I would believe it, right? In the context of being able to implement it. Like, right? You don't have that many people that you're targeting. You can actually survey their income. But when you're talking about Sweden, like Sweden has more than, I think at this point, more than 10% of its population that are done out of immigrants, right? And not only that, but as this post says, it's like they did settle parallel society, so that they have entire enclaves where there's immigrants there, right? So imagine if you have like this enclave that's filled with immigrants, and one of them doesn't happen to manage to make the cut of, what is it, £2,000 per month. How do you go there to deport them? Who do you send? Like you do realize those people are communities, right? Like, they're organized in communities. They care about one another. They support one another. If you're going to send there a couple of government agents in order to take that one person, the government agents are going to get beaten up. Like you cannot do this. It cannot be implemented, right? Even if by some reason you manage to get the law signed, and now people agree with this, it cannot be implemented. Not to mention, like, how are you even going to check? I mean, unless you have like a central banking digital system, unless you went full on CBDC and you have like a surveillance apparatus that rivals China, it's going to be very difficult to check. Although I do gotta say, Sweden is making large steps towards that direction. I noticed that they experienced a lot of violence recently, so they decided that more cameras and more surveillance is required in order to keep the streets safe. In Sweden, this used to be one of the most peaceful countries in Europe 20 years ago. I wonder what happened. But anyway, right, so as you can see, the verdict is false. Sweden is raising the income requirement for non-European migrants to obtain a work permit. Social media users are claiming that Sweden is planning to deport any migrant who earns less than 2,300 euros. And one social media post that claims that Sweden is planning to deport any who earns under 2,000 per month, which is estimated at around 30% of immigrants. Like, again, You cannot do this. Like, even if you sign it into law, it would just be a piece of paper. Like, you would not be able to enforce this. Well, it's kind of like trying to, I don't know, enforce a gun ban in the United States. like sure, you can put it on a piece of paper. I'm pretty sure you can even get some citizens to give away their guns. But it's realistically impossible. Like, especially when you look at some rural communities. The communists in Romania were unable to take away all the guns from all the people. Like, there were people in the mountains out there that had guns. It's the idea of, like, practicality, right? So, you would not be able to deport what is apparently, like, 30% of all immigrants. Just no. Usually the way this is done is they would start by deporting, like, I don't know, like maybe 1 or 5%. But even then it would be difficult due to the fact that, as I mentioned before, there's enclaves, there's communities, there's people that won't just simply allow the government to come in and take their grandma. No. However, this is possible, right? If you're going to just have different requirements for new people to come in, oh, well, yeah, okay, because at the border, you can stop them. Assuming that you have, like, strict border control, and given the fact that in the latest Swedish elections, I understand that the far right have managed to score a huge victory, maybe, you know, like a check on immigration, this is something reasonable that can actually be implemented. So media outlets reported that the Swedish government was expected to limit benefits for non-European migrants in order to be discouraging them from going to Sweden. So the original source claims to be an outlet, The Express. The article cited Sweden's migration minister at an op-ed written at a newspaper, and there is no credible reporting for this, apparently. The op-ed was written by the top leaders of the Swedish coalition that controls the government right now, the right-wing populists. Therefore, our partner parties are implementing several forms for reduced migration. Right, so basically, no, like, they're doing what I expected them to do. Like, this is exactly what I said. This is what the far left was expecting them to do. It's like, oh my god, they're going to deport everyone. Sweden is going to be a barren wasteland, is going to be a desert, like no one is going to live there. No, it's just like, it's not realistically doable. Like, you just can't. Logistically speaking, it's like, imagine what is like 30% the population of immigrants in Sweden. Like we would be talking like mobilizing an army or something. Like, it would be like a huge mass of people. No, how do you feed them? Like, because, like, you have to feed them as you're deporting them. Let me know what you guys think, and as usual, I will see you in the next comment section. Take care.